My name is Cam Gnarly. I'm Cameron, North End of San Bernardino. Born in Santa Monica originally. Been back and forth between IE and LA ever since. And yeah, I'm a rapper, singer, songwriter, event curator, art curator, just overall real one. What's essential about me? I feel like I've always been communal minded. I come from a really big family, so I've always had a large amount of people around me, and I always had this capacity to give a lot of energy to many people at one time. I look at it just the way that the stars aligned when I was born and the family that I was birthed into. I was raised by a lot of really strong women, by my aunts and my grandmother, especially my grandmothers. So for me, it's always been essential to lift other people up. It's always been essential to be not so much be the bigger person, but always seek to be like your best version of yourself or the higher version of yourself. Show up as a person you will want to be, and that's just stuff that I was raised in. I kind of walk in that just utmost confidence in who I am and what I have the capacity to give. To break down communal is like, that phrase when they say like it takes a village to raise a child, or it takes a village. Like, I am a product of the village. I was raised from people from all across age groups within my family. My father's the youngest of 10, so I had a you know I have two brothers, but an abundance of cousins that are like siblings, play cousins that are like siblings. And I was raised between San Bernardino, Fontana, Compton, Inglewood, Long Beach, Culver City, South Central, and all by a slew of mothers and aunts and uncles. And communal to me is just like understanding those ties, those real deep soul bonds of the people that you're connected to, and maintaining those things, maintaining those relationships. I feel like that's one thing that's very essential to me and how I've been able to live the life that I've led up to this point, is just like by maintaining the essential relationships in my life and making sure that I'm honoring those things. And that's how you maintain and build community. My community is affecting my art form 100%. Like I said, I grew up between my earliest memories is the Inland Empire, San Bernardino, Fontana, and South Central off Crenshaw and Harcourt at my auntie's house. And seeing the lives of the people around me go one way, and I was blessed enough with two parents that put me on this path that made it, set a clear foundation for me. But the things that I experienced at the time is what really, set the framework for how I approached music when I found it. Living in San Bernardino and having people who passed away from gun violence and gang shit, or people just falling through the cracks on some like drug stuff or poverty. Seeing family members go through it, and having a household that's always been a safe haven for other people. Like I said, I come from a big family, so I always had an uncle or a cousin or an auntie or somebody who's going through it, and understanding what it meant to open yourself up to those people, to tend to them and have them, be a part of you when they need it. So when I first started making music, I really, even subconsciously, recognized what the landscape was of the music at the time, and what I liked, which was like street shit, West Coast shit, like more R&B and jazz and stuff like that, from when I was like singing in the choir and things like that. And when I saw that that's the way other people were approaching making music from where I come from, I decided to approach it a different way and create this other soundscape for myself that had a lot more to do with like self-discovery, and and believing in yourself and those kind of things. Talking about those messages or interweaving those messages into my music, not only just for people to listen to and take something from, but really that's the shit that I would tell myself, coming from where I come from, the things that I've seen. Like, it's the people that told me stuff like that, that those little bars, those little gems of hearing it in regular conversation and things like that, and taking it and putting it into the music. Like, that's what made me be, my environment is the lens that I see through, and then I chose to go this way instead of the other way. Yeah, definitely. Some songs are definitely like a mantra. I have the song called "What's Real" that I put out on my 2020 project. 333 hertz, and it's literally just the first verse just repeats itself. And I even remember like in other times in the writing process and stuff, like, or when I'm in the process of trying to like manifest something, like, it's just about repeating these words until they're a part of you. And for me, that's what my writing is like when I write music, or when I'm you know just writing for to release, like writing, like journaling and things like that. Like, I do write in a way that is in the affirmative, and I speak, this shit is spells, it's magic in what we do. And I'm very intentional with the ways that I word certain things. Even as I feel like I was more intentional because I didn't know, I had so many different feelings going on within me. I was more concerned about what I was putting out so I could get it back, kind of thing. But even now, as I am more affirmed in who I am, those messages, kind of they mix now a little bit. I like to mix the light with the dark and let people understand what it really means to choose something. You choose something. It's not just the things that you go through, the things that you experience, or where you come from. You make a choice in what direction you want to go in. And I just try to stay mindful in that, and that's how I end up with like songs that are like mantras, or create a song like Signs or something like that that speaks to, something like noticing little signs, or keeping that mantra, or a song like Gnarly Orca with Noah, like, like don't let your dreams be dreams. Like, these are, those are easily identified as like mantras, but all of that shit is the same thing. Damn, that's a hard question. What's my favorite verse that I feel like impacts somebody and listening to it? I think I have different verses for different moods. I got songs that I listen to when I'm going through it. When I think about the people I've lost, I think about the song like Get By, and talking about, smoking for the, to the memories of the people that we lost, pouring out the drinks for the people underneath and that kind of thing. So there's those kind of songs. And then I have other songs that are more like that are more intentional on a positive side, or something more uplifting and things like that. Songs like Bigger Things and stuff like that. Like, the hook to Bigger Things, is mantra in that way of like, don't stress, don't trip, don't bitch. We focus on bigger things, like that kind of thing. So I don't know, like, it's at this moment, those are the only ones that come to mind right now. And my mind always works in this weird way of just like always weighing averages, or like weighing things against one another, trying to see the bigger picture. I'm really good at seeing both sides of something. So, like, you just asked me that, like, oh, what verse comes to mind that can impact it? It really just depends on what mood you're in, because I feel like I definitely got a little bit of something for every mood. My favorite mood is probably the when I'm in like my singing bag, when I'm in like when I'm in my harmony bag. I like to write in that way, because there's something different about the inflection that you put on certain words when you say it. Quintessential thing in rap is like, it ain't what you say, it's how you say it. And when I started to mix my melodies into the way that I would write things or deliver them, I noticed like a different impact that attaches that, or that connects people to it. That's more of like a sonic connection, not so much even the words, but how you feel when you hear it, the sauce of the lyric, like a Young Thug or something like that, or even like somebody who, or like a Kid Cudi who can, do one of those crooning melodies that's like soul wrenching. Like, so when I get into those pockets, like, I feel like it's really hard to not like one of my songs when I'm in that pocket. Like, it's infectious. Yeah, I do feel like when I was in the choir, or starting music from a singing perspective, because I didn't start rapping or even taking it serious until way later on in life. But something I was definitely doing early and have really vivid memories of is singing in front of my family. And like, I think at one time we were singing My Girl around the kitchen table. And like I said, I got a bunch of cousins, so it's like six of us, 6 or 7 of us, and everybody sings a part. And it got to me, and I hit this like note, and everybody was like, "Damn!" So I have that, like, memories like that remind me of like, oh man, like, I been doing this kind of shit for a long time. From like doing plays. Didn't even realize until later on, because school is school, but I went to a performing arts elementary school. So I was playing piano and playing instruments and singing in choir and doing plays and little performances, and you know had, talent shows at lunch and shit. And I thought that was regular until I realized later on that that's not regular. So I do have this homie when I first started rapping, and Drake and things like that weren't the singer rapper weren't a thing yet. So when I would write my raps, I would even have a melodic delivery and I didn't know it yet. It's kind of like something I discovered later on. And I remember being in the studio with the homie Brian, and he was like, bro, let that melody out. And I remember feeling disrespected, like, bro, you gonna get these bars. Like, you ain't fuck the. But come, later on, upon realizing that made my music stand out more, and it did speak and sound more true to me within, like I said, like my own little soundscape that I've created for, when people hear my music and the way that I use my vocals as an instrument in that way. That's just something within my skill set. I may not be the most like technical rapper, but that also isn't something that I spend a lot of time on. I have times where I could get that, I get into that space, but it's not something I'm spending a lot of time on. Like, I like to be as honest and organic with the music as I can. So singing and having like a melodic delivery and coming from that kind of background, having family who sang in the church and shit, like my pops had a good singing voice, my mom too. So it was just always something that was just apparent. Like, I thought I was gonna be a visual artist when I was a kid, like a cartoonist and shit. So when I was singing and stuff, I always thought like, oh, okay, I could kind of sing. Something I used to do in high school. I sing to the girls in the choir, and like join the choir. I'm like, nah, I ain't trying to do that, but but I got it though, right? So I feel like it's just a part of. It's just like I said, I pull from my whole life, and put it into the music the best I can every single song. So. It's like, you ever seen that movie Dewey Cox, The Ballad of Dewey Cox? And you remember how the movie starts? And they're like, Dewey, go on stage. And he's just like staring at the wall. And then he's like, Dewey Cox has to think about his entire life before he performs. Like, it feels like that. Like, I feel like because I'm very self-aware in the things where I come from and my skill set and that kind of thing, like, I think about all that before I cut. Before I do anything, like, I'm mindful of that shit, even when I don't want to be, unfortunately. So when I was younger, I feel like I had like a negative self-image, and I had gone through depression, especially loss and things like that too. Feeling like, do I fit in, or understanding that I'm different than most people because I'm an artist, because I'm artistically inclined. Like, I think a little bit differently, or I'm a little bit out of the box, or because I am a person that likes to see things from both sides. I don't like, I'm not very, I'm not easily swayed and shit. Like, I'm an analytical person. So I feel like growing up where I grew up and the time that I grew up in and shit, like, being the artsy black kid was not the type shit to be, like, at the time. So I feel like it was, I don't know, just made for a real unique experience. Like, I'm happy about it. Like, that shit wasn't always something, like, I do remember battling with those things, like, with believing in myself and things like that, or just being confident in my ideas and things like that. And that's stuff that I still deal with. It's the piece and the routines that I do have in my craft that let me know, like, fuck the doubts. Like, you got this shit because you work at this, and not only are you talented, but at least I've taken the time to, really work my skill set within my craft. So, at least I'm confident in the work that I put in, and I'm confident in my natural ability. So it took time to find that, and it does take time to really, like, harness it when necessary. But that just comes with practice. So I feel like, if in anything, I just started practicing. Once I identified it, I just maintained the practice at it, because I'm not like this, like what Nipsey said, like, I've gone through all the emotions about what I'm doing, and I still choose to do it. So it doesn't really, whether I found it and it was just something I identified, or something I work at every single day to maintain, we all making that choice every day. I choose this shit every day. My hardest battle is probably my internal battles, the shit that I gotta do, or talk, the way I need to talk to myself to get up every day to be me, in whatever capacity that is. If that's just as a brother, a son, a homie, a friend, a rapper, an entertainer, a writer, a thinker, however I'm contributing in whatever way, like it takes some type of work. And, I do the inner work, and that's just not always easy. Like, dealing with having to lose friends along the way. I've lost friends that just because I got so deep in the art shit that they just didn't align in that. And I'm lucky that I've maintained a lot of friendships that are rooted even beyond art shit and music shit. But I also know that those friendships are also kind of tied into that because they're the same people that inspired me to do the things that I'm doing, while even though we didn't go down the same path. So, it's so loud in here, bro. Like in here, like I'm very oblivious to a lot of stuff. I mind my business, like I'm not even in a mean way, but I'm very oblivious to what other people got going on sometimes if they're not within my space, my communal space. Like, and I got love for a lot of people and that kind of thing, but because I do so much inner work, because I'm self-aware, I guard my energy and things like that. So that's really been another hard battle of just like learning that I needed to do that. Because I have like I said, because I have a capacity to give so much, I've encountered a lot of people who take from me, or who I pour into and they don't pour back into me. So that's probably another big battle that I dealt with, and it's tied to the internal work or the inner battles of just like knowing how to respect my boundaries of like, this is what I need to be me, and if I give too much outside of this, then I'm going to feel depleted. And what depleted can look like being comparative, or depleted can look like being insecure, or depleted can look like not being confident, and I can't risk any of those things. So with that being said, that's probably another big battle of mine. It's just like maintaining my boundaries for the people I have a capacity to give to, but knowing that I have to give more to myself. I feel like as I grow, my music grows with me. So I hear certain songs that I don't necessarily identify with today, but when I wrote them, they were true as shit. And so I do feel like my music grows with me, especially with the spaces that I'm in, or the people that are that are now listening, and the things that I get from them. Um, but yeah, more than anything, my music's probably gotten more authentic or more true to myself, um, more experimental, more more honest, more close to home when I'm writing certain things. I have a way of writing stuff in like an abstract way, or like a poetic way. I would call it poetry, but like in an abstract way, making something outside of myself. But lately, I've been writing things a lot more in the eye, and in the a little bit closer to the chest and stuff like that. Like for example, like what love really is, EP. That whole project is full of songs and verses that are very songs and stories that are very close to things that I've experienced, like within setting boundaries, or understanding what healing looks like from losing relationships, or understanding that everybody can't go in the same direction as you, so you got to heal from that, or intimate relationships I had with women, like that kind of stuff. It is not usually something that you hear in a Cam Gnarly song, but I feel like as I've grown, like I said, like the music kind of just grows with me, and I get more comfortable shedding certain walls, or layers of who I am, and letting people perceive me however they will. I've been thinking about that a lot too, especially with like all these rappers that have been passing away, since even like Nipsey and Mac, and Draco and everybody else, and most recently, I feel like it's not, to answer that question. It's like it's all in the work that I do. Like I could say what I want to be remembered as, but if my work isn't representing that, if the things that I'm doing in the here and now aren't representing that, it doesn't matter what I say. So I feel like the things that I've done and the ways that I've carried myself, and like the intentional energy I put into the things that I've done, will speak for me. I just want to be remembered as somebody who really cared, and somebody who was a true artist, like just an artist. Because a lot of things can be, other titles can be really limiting to who I am, or, I don't want to be looked at as just like a positive artist, or Inland Empire, or IE artist, even though I represent both of those things. that is not like a fully, that can take away from my complexities in a lot of ways. Because I'm not always positive, and I'm not just from the IE only. I've walked steps in a lot of different places, and have called other places home too. So with knowing that, like, I just want to be remembered as somebody who made an impact and made positive impacts, but also who tried. I tried my best to show people duality and let people know, like, it's all about balance more than anything. Like, that's what I've talked about. Love, talked about balance. I've talked about being, being the best version of yourself, and, and being communal in that way, and, knowing that we're all connected, like, and moving in that way. Like, a stride for me is a stride for you. So I feel like, shit, if I died today, I'd be confident in the things that I've left behind. You know what I love about being Cameron before Cam Gnarly is that I always had this positive mental outlook, and I used to call it something else. It was more along something along the lines of like treating people how you want to be treated, and it kind of just found its way into my music. And this is also like before I even got into like spirituality, understanding about like any kind of divine anything, or studying sacred geometry, or just understanding the power of like mindfulness and manifestation and meditation. Like, before all of that, like, I feel like I've always lived a very charmed life, like a really like a lucky motherfucker, like, but not in a like, I've definitely gotten out of situations where like, I left the party and they shot it up like right after I left, like that kind of luck. But like the other kind of luck of just like these like really serendipitous connections, man. And I even had a reading recently on like my natal chart, and it talked a lot about like me understanding the balance of being here to balance and understand relationships. And more than anything, I've gotten so much off the strength of my relationships with people, and the ways and why we connect, that have really even propelled my career in a lot of ways. But before that, it was just like, I was that guy who was friends with everybody. When I was in high school, I could eat anywhere, like that kind of thing. I had a small group of friends, like 2 or 3 friends that I would eat with all the time, but we and me could sit anywhere and go anywhere. And I feel like that even to this day, like, the way that I maneuver myself and carry myself is respected. And because of that, I'm good in a lot of places, even if I'm not quote unquote on the same thing as that they are. But like I said, the way that I carry myself is honored, and I honor the way other people do them. I'm definitely somebody who's always, even before music, I've always been somebody who never had a problem with cheering for the other person. Or like, I love to see the people around me winning, because like I said, I understand relationships to know that a stride for you is a stride for me, and if we in it together, you doing good, then we doing good. I want you to wish the same for me, so that we can have that communal energy, that mastermind energy of like, we doing good. And I feel like that's what I even have now within the creative spaces that I'm in, with a lot of the people that, some of them I've known almost 10 years, even before music, especially San Bernardino people. So that's always been a part of who I am. Like, I've always had a really vast number of friends. I have friends who are, on the honor roll and and I have friends who shot the shit up, like, and that's just my lifestyle. So because I've always walked that thin line, like, I feel like it's bled its way into my music, it's bled its way into my outlook, and that's just how I maneuver, how I navigate through life as I know it currently. That I've always had like this very particular mentality, trusting in myself, and having faith that if I do right, I'm gonna get right. Cam Gnarly definitely started out with all of the doubts and insecurities that Cameron had. And then at some point it became like the shield, to protect the more, especially with the music I was making at the time. It became like a shield. Even the people around me, like the energy around me, became a shield to protect the more sensitive parts of myself. And then at some point it just kind of became a part of me, and it really has empowered me in a lot of ways. Just having a medium to speak, a voice that I feel comfortable speaking in, that isn't necessarily the voice of Cameron, the things that I would say on a personal level, but looking at it like a platform that I've created for myself, a business or it's all these things. It's a business, it's a form of expression, it's an artistic name, but it's also like a brand. So within that, like it's probably it's like a micro version of my whole self that I choose to to adapt to suit me as I truly am. So Cam Gnarly has definitely changed my life, but I still feel like I said I still feel like the same person. Like I still truly feel like the same Cam. Like and I feel like gnarly is just I just do like some gnarly shit. Like I've always lived a life of just like, damn, like you did what? Like yeah, I did that. Like yeah, I really did that. Like oh, I opened up for Drake like in 2009, like when I was like 19. Like I was doing shows at all the House of Blues probably like 3 or 4 times before I turned 21. Like there's stuff that I've done, like even like I said, like the other thing, like I when I could have been on Broadway, but I was sick that day, that type shit. Like I've always lived like this very particular life, and Cam Gnarly in itself is just another additive to this weird, charmed life that I've led. And shit, I feel like as I continue to be more confident, it's just going to continue to go in that direction. Like I have no doubt. Like Cam Gnarly is only as limiting or as broad as I make it to be, and I've made it this far really off the strength of my talent, my skill set, like working my craft, building the relationships that I've built, and then just having fun with it and being honest and confident in that I'm Cameron, Cam Gnarly, all of that same shit, still Cam. Hey, Cam Gnarly, Untapped Hip Hop, up here in Productive Culture, JMKM. This song's called Navigate from my Nirvana album. Probably my biggest one, no doubt. Oh yeah, hey, yeah. Oh yeah, hey, yeah, hey. They taking notice how we navigate. They might get lost, they tryna find a hole in styles they'll never penetrate. See, I don't just portray, I live this way. Make them pay penance, cause they just some tenants, renting temporary space. Hey, this that speaking mind, pressure line, know yourself, no fugazi, better pay me, you can't play me. Okay, now that I got that out the way, I'm gonna ride my wave to better days. And I might get hate, I might get praised. At the end of the day, it's all the same. Man, I'm just out here being bout it. Making these songs about it. Shed light on the ones who clouded. Flexing on the ones who doubted. No bullshit burden me, see wins, I never speak about it. Personal victory flow, defeating my demons in tow. Flow so cold, they freeze our foes in they path. Kill all the snakes in the grass. Well, I surpass them and laugh. I stay doing different, seeing different, reality shifting is consistent, more mindful of the moves you make, cause we can't afford no mistakes. They taking notice how we navigate. They might get lost, they tryna find a hole in styles they'll never penetrate. See, I don't just portray, I live this way. Make them pay penance, cause they just some tenants renting temporary space. Hey, when I say posse, you say wave, posse, wave, posse, wave, posse, wave, posse, wave. Hey, when I say posse, you say wave, posse, wave, posse, wave, posse, wave, posi, wave. If you ever been to a Cam Gnarly show, you said that posi wave part, I fuck with you. That's how I know you really been outside for your boy. Hey.